What's going on, y'all? So I want to, as quickly as possible, hopefully under 10 minutes, explain the intended playstyle balancing for my ROM hacks, specifically Scrambled Scarlet. However, a lot of this information can be applied to Sweltering Sun in terms of the Teamlocked aspect, at least, that explanation. Because first and foremost, I want to explain what a Teamlocked Nuzlocke is and why I balance my games around that specific playstyle. There is tons of information about what that is in text form, if you prefer reading, on the Google Sheet itself and in my Discord server. I highly recommend joining that. But just to give a quick, brief explanation of what a Teamlocked Nuzlocke is, essentially, it is when you have a team of 6 Pokemon from the beginning, but you can't switch your Pokemon around unless one dies. When one dies, then you can go and add a new team member. And that doesn't mean, a lot of people will hear that and they'll instantly think, oh, okay, so I'll just, if my guy, if I have a bad matchup for the next boss fight in terms of type, synergy, whatever the hell, you might, especially if you're conditioned by standard ROM hacks where that type of stuff does matter a lot more because your Pokemon are a lot crappier, they have a lot less tools, and you have a lot less things available to you in terms of moves and items and all that good stuff. This game is not balanced like that. This game is balanced so that every single Pokemon is not only fun to use, so at the time of recording this, I've only done the Paldean starters on the Google Sheet in terms of like changes. So you can go check those out, of course, and I'll be uploading videos for those. But yeah, I would love to cover it more, but I don't want to waste too much time talking about it. But you can also check out the Sweltering Sun docs and get a decent idea of how I approach buffing and changing Pokemon. However, a lot of that information won't apply to Scrambled Scarlet because of just functional things like having 3 ability slots, the moves being different, the power levels being different, all that type of stuff. Just the balancing, I would say, is going to be a lot better in Scrambled Scarlet overall because I learned a lot from Sweltering Sun and making that, and I want to apply that knowledge to Scrambled Scarlet. But anyways, back on topic of what Teamlocked is, alright? Essentially, you have that team of 6 from the start, and you try your absolute hardest to have them not die, okay? That's the key point, is that you don't want your Pokemon to die. You should care if they die. So a lot of this, like, traditional hardcore Nuzlocke, like, ROM hack culture is like, like the concept of a box check for a certain boss fight, especially ROM hacks like Radical Red and any type of mainstream ROM hack, which I personally am not a fan of at all, and that's why I got into ROM hacking years ago, is because I really just didn't like the approach that all these ROM hackers were taking. I thought that they're kind of boring, and they just kind of, like, excuse me, a lot of the trainer sets are made very cheap. Like, they don't really consider how AI works when they make the trainer sets. The buffing style for Pokemon is very boring. A lot of them either make no sense or they're just very vanilla, boring. And some people like that. Some people don't want to play a game where everything has changed and you have to, consult a spreadsheet to understand things and all that type of stuff. Some people don't like that, and that's totally valid. This game is for people who are interested in that type of thing, who like extensive changes in their hacks, who like all the moves being different. And the thing is, this game is balanced around being replayed. So back on topic with the Teamlocked, all right. Yeah, you don't sack your Pokemon unless you obviously there will be times where you might have to. Okay, there will be times where you might have to sack your Pokemon, but the goal is to not have to do that, and you have tons of tools available to you in this hack specifically to not have to do that. If you try doing a Teamlocked Nuzlocke in another ROM hack, it might not go as well because the creator didn't balance it with that in mind. They balanced it with you going to your PC box and looking at the matchup of the gym leader or whatever the hell you're about to fight, and then going, oh, that's where the concept of a box check comes from, right? Or ranking encounters, like, oh, this encounter's good, or, oh, I have to reset the fucking run because I didn't get a specific encounter. Like, that is... I hate that shit with a passion. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I want all Pokemon to be fun to use. Some might be easier to use than others in certain contexts. Some might be higher base stat total-wise in this hack, but that doesn't... Every single Pokemon is good and has unique traits to them. And they function, they're super fun, I reimagine every single Pokemon in my hacks, okay? I reimagine every single Pokemon. Obviously, the extent of that will range, like how close it is to the original, but in general they all get completely reworked, learn sets, and TM compatibility. So much stuff. Everything has changed very extensively. So if you like that, you'll love my hacks, and be open-minded to it. But yeah, the point of the hack is you can use any Pokemon at a time, and that's why I balance it around Teamlocked. Another main goal of Teamlocked is to bond with your Pokemon. So I would say the 2 main points of playing on a Teamlocked Nuzlocke are, number 1, bonding with your Pokemon, and number 2, strategizing, alright? Because The game's fucking easy when you can just, it's either easy or it's like too reliant on RNG in terms of what encounter you get. Like, oh, this, again, like I said earlier, this encounter's good, this encounter's bad, that type of philosophy of box check. I hate that shit. I hate it with a passion, so that's not a thing in my hacks, alright? Any encounter, any 6 Pokemon at a time, you can use to beat a boss fight. Obviously, some are still going to be like harder than others because of your matchup. That doesn't mean that it's impossible. That definitely doesn't, I mean, if you're, you know, with one death, yes, I think you could do pretty much any fight with like 1 or 2 deaths guaranteed with any 6 Pokemon. But in terms of deathless, you can definitely cook up strategies at all times because of all of the tools that Pokemon get access to now. In terms of 3 ability slots that you can switch between at any point. In terms of here, I'm gonna read it off. I made a little notes for this video because I wanted to try to keep it shorter. So note-wise, I have, again, bonding with your Pokemon. You know, you try to keep them alive, you try to bond with them, so that way when they do die on Teamlocked, because you're keeping the same 6 Pokemon, right? Versus in traditional Nuzlockes, you don't even fucking care. You don't care about your monsters. They're like pawns, they're like tools, you know? Oh, this beats this. Let me add this to my team to beat this gym leader. That shit is boring. I hate it. I don't like it. And if you love that strategy aspect of a hardcore Nuzlocke, you will still love a Teamlocked Nuzlocke in this game. You just get that extra bonding and caring. In this game, you can do that just with the 6 Pokemon you have, because again, they have so many tools in terms of. Like, I'll show Sweltering Sunstocks, for example. Like, again, it's not as applicable. It still is applicable. I mean, the game Sweltering Sun is still balanced around Teamlocked, but you don't have infinite movie learner, and you only have 2 ability slots, so that is a lot more limiting. However, you have broken. You don't have item claws in Sweltering Sun, which means you can spam broken items like Quick Claw and Choice Scarf and Infinite Use Eject Button, which don't exist. Infinite Eject Button doesn't exist in Scrambled, and then Quick Claw and Scarf are limited to 1 per team because of the intended rules, which I'll go over quickly now. The intended rules for intended. Again, I want to clarify intended, meaning these are not forced on you at all, whatsoever, really. You can play however you want. You can even use healing items if you want to. This is just the intended philosophy behind my game, which is Teamlocked, which I've already explained what that is, and why it's fun and good, and why you should definitely try it. And I will say for the record, there are tons of people who have joined my Discord server not knowing what Teamlocked is, and then they were maybe even apprehensive about it, and then they did it, and they're like, holy shit, this is the coolest thing ever. Specifically because my game is balanced around it. If you play as intended, you'll probably fucking enjoy it, you know, give it a shot. As long as you know what you're doing. Knowing how the AI works is really important. Once you know how the AI works and you can path around certain fights, you know, you can figure out routing and then switch in AI, like what Pokemon comes out next, you can 100% do fights deathless with any 6 Pokemon if you just cook up enough strategies. You use all the cool items and moves that you have, which again, if you thought Pokemon were versatile in Sweltering Sun, they are like 20 million times more versatile in Scrambled because of the fact that you have 3 ability slots and infinite movie learner. It is crazy, man. It is really crazy. Like, you have so much room to customize your Pokemon. So not only do you have 3 customizable abilities, all of which I balance to fit that Pokemon and just be fitting and be good and make sense. And also another really important thing is, like, I don't like them overlapping with other Pokemon of that same type. So for example, all the Grass Dark types won't have, you know, at least in terms of dual types, yes, they shouldn't really ever have any overlapping abilities or tools in that sense. And I try to make them, I mean, I try really hard to make them all make sense. But on top of having those 3 options, which is great, you know, typically a lot of Pokemon will get like one defensive / utility ability, 1 offensive ability, you know, that type of thing. These 3 starters aren't the best examples of that, honestly. I mean, I guess Quaquaval, you know, you got the Elegance for priority, Moxie for boosting, and then Drizzle for team support, and then instant immediate damage boosting. And Elegance is obviously very good utility. But these guys aren't, I mean, I guess like Appetite is a very offensive and defensive tool at the same time. So these guys are not the best examples. But a lot of Pokemon will have like 1 speed boosting ability, 1 defensive boosting ability / utility, and then 1 damage boosting ability. That's going to be a very common I guess, mix of abilities, so that's very good. It makes your Pokemon much more versatile because you can switch them at any time. You have, again, the health items. The Quick Claw is buffed. Tons of other important item buffs. You can check those out. Love poison types. That's why Black Sludge is buffed. But yeah, this video might be like 15. I'll try to keep it at 15 minutes. I think that's pretty reasonable. Again, tons of new abilities. You can read all of this stuff for yourself. Most importantly, I would say read the move sheet. But if you're 10 minutes in, you probably know this already. So leave a comment down below if you are 10 minutes in and you don't know. If this is your first time listening to this and you were 10 minutes in, leave a comment. That would be really good for me to know if you're new to the channel and you're 10 minutes in. So back on topic, intended rules and then tools that you have. Yeah, so I should have said this earlier. I literally listed out stuff for me to talk about in order, so it makes sense, and I still went out of order. That's just how I am. But you're encouraged to strategize with Teamlocked, right? You're encouraged to cook with your 6 Pokemon. Replay value. A lot of people who hear about I should have said this earlier, man. Damn it. Replay value is essentially people might see the Teamlocked thing and be like, yeah, well, that kind of sucks because I want to use all the cool Pokemon. And that's a totally valid concern. These games are balanced to be replayed. That's the whole point, is you're supposed, I mean, I designed this for my personal taste, right? And my personal taste is to replay it a bunch and a bunch, as long as the game is good. I'd love to replay it with different Pokemon each time and bond with my team. And that might sound like it's a high commitment, but it's actually not, because the preloaded save file that will come with all the eggs, if you're curious about what I mean by eggs, you can watch my other video on Scrambled explaining why there are eggs. You can also go to my Discord server and read about it there. But yeah, you get, all your Pokemon are in form of eggs, so those are super easy to grab if you want to just grab and go. All the items, like in terms of EV training and TMs and all that shit, you just buy it in the market, and then that's it. You buy all the TMs, they're all purchasable for no money, and it's basically free. It's all meant for you to just have the easiest quality of life in terms of navigating the world. And then the most important thing is the preloaded save file / PK hex that you will use to load the eggs in, either one. You can either drag and drop the preloaded save or use PK hex on your own save to add the eggs. Either one works. When you do that, you can either the preloaded save will come with, or you can use PK hex yourself to add in fast travel. So essentially you can teleport around the map at will, and it's basically a boss rush at that point. You don't have to navigate any of the open world shit. In fact, I actually discourage it because I should explain this in the other video, but you can read about it in the Discord. But there's fucking 5 damn game paths. All right, there are 5 paths in the game. Let me zoom out a little bit. There are 5 paths of this game. All right, 5 different versions of this game, and you can look at this Google sheet again down below in the description. And the boss order is different for all 5 of them. Okay, so as you can see, they have little maps and stuff, so you can play 5 different versions of the game, and that is another point in terms of the replay value. So essentially, yeah, in terms of the replay value, you will not have to worry about. Oh, Jesus, sorry. Give me 2 seconds to collect my thoughts. Yeah, so hella replay value is the point, okay? You're intended to, I mean, at least 5 times you should replay, because you should try at least each of the paths 5 times, or once each for all the paths. And that's honestly like the bare minimum. This game, I mean, it's gonna be super quick, dude. Like, just teleport, prep, fight, some dialogue, whatever. Especially with the DLC stuff, might have some dialogue. But at the end of the day, it's it's not as dialogue heavy as, like, for example, Gen 7 is. So yeah, super sick. Hella replay value. That's the whole philosophy of the game, is you are supposed to be playing multiple times and use teams of 6, and maybe I'd say, like, on average maybe 12-ish Pokemon per run, although the more you play the better you'll get. For example, in my earlier Sweltering Sun runs, I would have maybe 6 to 12 mons in the death box on Teamlocked, and then towards my last ones, I mean, I would have like 1 or 2 at most. But Sweltering Sun will be, I mean, very different in terms of balance. Scrambled will be easier in some ways and harder in a lot of other ways. It'll definitely be all evened out, but the fact that you get an infinite move learner, it gives you so much more freedom and flexibility with your Pokemon. Again, 3 ability slots. All the move buffs in general are very, thorough, and again, you can check that out down below. But yeah, lastly, I want to cover the intended rules. So Teamlocked, no healing items. I should have said this at the beginning, man, but whatever. Teamlocked, no healing items for use. That's, again, all optional. You don't have to use any of these rules. Nothing is forced on you. You can use healing items. You can use whatever items you want. This is just how I am balancing the game, how I'm designing it to be played. And that is, again, Teamlocked, no healing items. Item claws, that's a big one, because otherwise items like Choice Scarf and Quick Claw and Eject Button end up being really broken and kind of not fun. I actually love the idea of item claws because it encourages so much more strategizing, and cooking, especially when you have move relearner. You can, like, totally customize. Like, you can run a bulky set one fight and then a very offensive set the next fight, and it works perfectly. It's going to be super fun. So I'm really excited for that, because you have so many cool move tools. It's so much flexibility. It's super sick. So that is that. Item clause. And then 3 other important things. Tera types. I should have talked about Tera earlier, but Tera versus AI is broken. Objectively, it is incredibly broken, because that's a tool that the AI basically, it's almost useless on AI, right? It's not completely useless, but it's hard-coded so that they always use it on their last Pokemon, and it's always the first turn. So it's extremely predictable, so it removes the unpredictable nature of Tera, right? And then, again, it's AI. So, for example, you have your, I don't know, your damn, I don't know, Scrafty is out on the field. or your Hoopa Unbound, or you have your Hoopa Unbound versus low kicks, all right, and they're gonna click first impression, whatever it is, okay, they're gonna click a bug move. You Tera, you get a free KO, all right, that's it, because you now resist bug or whatever, you live the bug hit and then you kill, or whatever, you know, in theory. The point is, Tera is really broken, and I think being able to customize your Tera type versus AI is absurd. Like, the game will be absurdly easy at that point, because you can just change your Tera type at will, whenever you want, and just cheese the AI, because again, there's no prediction on the AI's part. They're never predicting your move. They are going for what you are, what type you are. Meanwhile, versus a real player, there's like the Tera prediction, all that, and also it's just a completely different thing. So that's that. I'm at 15 minutes. Sorry, I gotta hurry this up. Yeah, Tera type. So the point is of Tera, you are intended to RNG your Tera once. So you unlock Tera whenever you beat Larry. So all the eggs that you're gonna get are gonna be they're going to be Tera typeless, no Tera. So depending on the game path, as you can see, I have them all, the averages of all the levels. Not Norman, oh my god. Larry is as late as level 41 in the vanilla path and as early as 13. So depending on which path you play, that's when you'll unlock Tera. So again, these paths are going to be balanced, like difficulty for these paths will be balanced around that fact, by the way. So just because you get Tera at level 13 doesn't mean that it's going to be the easiest path, because the game, like the difficulty will be balanced around that, you know. But regardless, that's going to determine when you unlock Tera. And what you're supposed to do when you get to Larry is just RNG your Tera, 1 out of 18 types. Personally, I think you could low-key remove your Stab from that list, because I think Stab Tera is absurdly boring, especially for pure type Pokemon. In-game, obviously in competitive, it's whatever, it's a damage boost, but in-game it's so boring because it's just a damage boost. Like, there's no cool factor to that. There's no strategizing there for the most part. If you're a dual type turning into a pure type, that can be useful defensively, so maybe keep that. You could maybe optionally re-roll that, but if you want, if you roll fucking Tera normal on your Snorlax, like, you can keep it by all means. I just would optionally re-roll that until you get a type that isn't your actual type, and then keep that type straight up. So you can luck out and get like a traditionally good Tera type for that Pokemon, like defensive Tera type, which is probably going to be the best Tera type in game. But I think the cool factor is, number one, it makes your Pokemon feel more unique individually, but it also is still an incredible tool. Even if you pull, like, I don't know, Tera fucking Bug, Meowscarada, or I don't know, or Tera fucking, I don't know, what's it, like a Tera Ice Skeletors, like, that might seem not that great, but you can definitely make, because it's versus AI, you can make that work to a huge extent. I mean, even just being able to change your type at any point in the battle is incredible. It's a very strong tool, regardless of what that type is. Again, all mons have Tera Blast, whatever. So you have so much wiggle room defensively and offensively with Tera. It's a very fun thing to play around with, and that's why I encourage you to RNG your Tera type, to randomize it, basically, once you unlock Tera. And then natures also are intended to be randomized. They're all going to be neutral as eggs, and then you just randomize it once, and you keep it maybe up to 3 times if you want, to give yourself wiggle room. Or you can just change your nature whenever you want. I mean, that's your prerogative, but the intended playstyle is you RNG it, and you keep that nature. That will also make your Pokemon feel more unique and more soulful. Like, that's their nature, that's your guy, that's your Pokemon. They're unique in that regard. And then IVs will be probably just maxed out. If the game ends up being a little bit too easy because of the fact that your IVs are maxed, I can always just have the eggs be lower IVs instead, and maybe you RNG it, whatever, but that's something for down the line, a future patch. For now, the IVs are just going to be 31 on everything, and the difficulty will be balanced accordingly as well. But that'll definitely make a big difference, especially when it comes to speed tiers, having 31 IVs and everything. Especially if you get lucky with the plus speed nature on a fast Pokemon, then it's like then you're going kind of crazy. But yeah, that's about it. I'm going to end it here. I'm under 20 minutes, at least that's good. I appreciate you watching. If you listened this far into the video, please leave a comment and let me know. I appreciate you very much if you did. Join my Discord server. If you haven't joined the Discord server by now, and you're watching this far into the video, join it. You will like it. Shout out to you if you made it this far. I ended off there. Goodbye.